The only place that you can be when you're winter swimming is there. You're nowhere else. All winter swimmers would say the only thing that's real is where they are, and that's amazing. My mate reckons that most Scottish food is food that you can eat without any teeth. So sort of black pudding, porridge, cullen skink, basically anything that you just don't need any teeth for, which is quite nice, but I don't agree with that, by the way. Porridge is nice though. The essentials for the day ahead. 2 flasks, maybe 3. 3 if it's icy. That'll do. That should do the trick. Good to put your feet into. I'll put tea into. This time last year, I did a swim up at Blee and it was 2 and there was ice. And this year it's just not happened yet. But it is meant to be a bit snowy. It's just so annoying. It's like I just want to have swim in some ice. I've had frost, babe. Still not cold enough. Last winter, and the road here, we were wanting to seek the ice out, and the road here was closed just up ahead, and it was completely blocked. So there were cars scouting all over the place, and this is the main sort of road through the lakes to go north. So we got out, we'd sort of abandoned the car at the side of the road and then just walked. And it was brilliant because we were walking on the main road, but there was nobody on it. And it was felt like a real treat to be able to walk on this main road that cuts right through the Lake District. And we're just scouting around and having snowball fights on it and stuff. It did make getting to the tarn quite an effort, but it was just, it was ace. Lucky to be able to be, freelance, to be able to kind of capture a day like that when everybody else is at work and we were up on this high fell. It's 1 degree at the moment, and we'll see what happens. There's some snow there though, that's nice. Ooh. So that is 4. So not quite freezing yet, but it's still an ice, be like a sort of ice swim, because ice swims are under 5. So an ice dip, we call it. When I'm at the water's edge, there's a disrobing of ego, because if you take your ego into the water, it'll trip you up. I think it's important that we try not to identify too much with our egos. They can bind you as much as they can push you up. Some swims are better than others. And if you take your ego with you to push harder and longer, you'll make it more dangerous. And that's not what you're doing it for.
How's that, Gilly?
That was lovely. Yeah, it's really nice. Quite cold. No, it wasn't cold. It was fresh. It's really nice. That's it's like 4 degrees. I don't know how anyone could do, like, you know, swimming for a mile in under 5. But I suppose if there were more people to swim with, it would be a possible thing. It's really lovely though, because just under the surface in the middle, there's some really massive big lily pads. They're just about that much under the surface, and they're yellow. And yeah, it's cool. Really nice. Apart from, there's some really big like stalks as well, and that's what I was bashing into. Not nice. I grew up in the northeast of Scotland. My parents are from Inverness, So I swam in Loch Ness a lot and a lot of the rivers up there. I swam in the northeast of Scotland. Northeast of Scotland, the water is cold. It's cold all year round. So we are at the Forth Road Bridge today. That's the Forth Road Bridge, and that's the Forth Rail Bridge. It's over 150 years old. And I thought it'd be quite nice to swim here. And I am now not feeling it because I'm potentially a tiny bit hungover. Possibly got my periods on the way. And so I'm just not feeling it. But I'm here. So my experiences when I was little were definitely that you just cracked on with it. It didn't matter what the weather was. Because if you waited for the sun to come out, being a Scottish kid, you were going to wait for 364 days. And for that one, sunny morning or something. I'm kind of joking because the weather in Scotland's really good, but don't tell anyone that. Maybe I have more of an interest in swimming in cold water because it reminds me of being small. We used to go to the West Coast on holiday. My dad and my uncle would sit down, they'd have whiskies and they'd just be like, sit down, shut up and watch the sunset. And we'd all have to sit there, watching the sunset, not allowed to say a word. Okay, we're watching the sunset. Can we move now? We're not allowed to move now, okay. So being outside and being able to appreciate nature was probably like bashed into me when I was smaller. I went to live in New York for 6 months and I worked in Long Island and on 34th Street for Gap. Loved it, loved the people that I worked with. Really opened my eye to a bigger world. I got an opportunity to stay and to stay for another 3 years. And I realised I was a bit burnt out. So I got a bit depressed and I decided to ask for a year out from Gap. And they asked what I was going to do for my year out, and I said I was going to go and learn to snowboard. The plan was that I'd take a year off and I'd go and live in Chamonix, and I'd learn to snowboard and I'd learn to speak French, and I would have this year off. And I met a bunch of really amazing professional snowboarders that took me under their wing with snowboards that were like, the wrong size and helmets that didn't quite fit and all that kind of stuff, but it was a good crack. And in my first season, I didn't really learn to snowboard that well, but had a really good laugh and worked in a bar and, soon enough realised that actually I didn't want to be in this big corporate world. That was like my T-junction or my crossroads or whatever of going, okay, do you want to go back into that world where you're always going to be looking to the next best and the next best and the next best, or are you going to turn this way into this sort of unknown world and see if you can make it work? And I turned right, took that path, sort of slightly less trodden. There's something really sort of fleeting living in the north of England about capturing and getting into the snow and ice when it's here. You don't know when it's going to arrive, and you don't know how long it's going to stay for. That trying to find it when it's here feels like you've caught a little bit of treasure. A lot of the tarns that have been much higher up, where there's been like -10, it's been really, really windy, and the ice just doesn't form. If it's that windy, it needs to be consistently that really cold for a good few days. It seems to be that there's less ice in the UK now, though, because even up north, my friends that are living up in the Cairngorms and stuff that are doing winter skills courses and ice climbing courses, they're having to cancel, relook at how they want to run their businesses because there's just not reliable ice up here, or for winter climbing, to do winter skills stuff in the rock climbing world. There's just not the snow. For my mental health, being outside and being engaged with nature is essential. In 2012, I was pregnant, and at 41 weeks, so that's full term, my daughter was stillborn on the day that she was going to be actually born. And she, obviously I had to give birth. So 3 days later, I gave birth to Elsie, and she was 8 pounds, baby girl. And my whole world collapsed, and, obviously Charlie's world as well. And it's a weird situation that you're in, because you're in this weird place where everyone is expecting there to be like a big celebration, and there's not one. And so all of the congratulations, you're having a girl cards become sympathy cards, and you end up being sort of in the suspended dark place with no sort of way out at all. And it's a really dark place to be in. And what was really powerful for both of us about that time, and to how to kind of navigate our way out of this like deep dark space that we were in of nothing, was to engage again with the things that we understood that made sense to us. So for us both at the time, it was climbing, and being back outside and engaging with something which was in a field which is completely sort of transient. In nature, everything is getting born and living and then dying, and then the next year everything is getting born again and living and dying. And to be able to see that path and that process, and to understand that whilst this was a really desperately tragic thing that had happened, there was still so much joy to be had out there. But after a while, we were able to start to engage with those things again, sort of more fully and in a more present way. About 7 months after Elsie died, I was rock climbing in America, and then I had a climbing accident and I broke my back. And again, it was a situation which could have been so much worse. But actually, I was kind of quite grateful that I had broken my back, because from that, I learned how to appreciate things in an even deeper way of, engaging with nature, and to be outside, and to sort of see what was important in life. And we can focus our attention onto one thing and make that the thing that makes us our identity. But at the detriment of all of this other stuff, we just focus on those really sad things that happen that are unbelievably tragic. We're missing all of this amazing stuff here. And what we need to do is to go, okay, accept that was a really hard, tragic thing that happened, but move away from it with grace, and to thank it for its learnings, and to move on to, all the rest of the beauty, and not to let that define us. in terms of the power of nature to heal broken hearts or broken souls, it's completely there. And it can just be to spend more time outdoors. It's there for everyone to tap into. I like to think about hard times as being like a stitch in a tapestry. Instead of it turning the whole tapestry black, it's just a black stitch or two black stitches. It's a little patch. But it doesn't mean that the rest of the tapestry that you can sew together is going to be black or grey. It can be all the vivid colours that you want it to be. And for me, being outside and being engaged with nature in a really submersive way allows that tapestry to be all the colours of the rainbow. And it doesn't mean that the black stitches aren't there, but they're just part of a bigger landscape of stuff. And all of the swimmers that I've met, they've come to it from wanting to understand themselves better. And that's what swimming in the winter teaches you. It teaches you about who you are. It's such a sharp focus of sensation that everything else that's gone before slips away. So it's almost like a really sharp, focused meditation into achieving a sort of flow state. You can't ignore what's happening in that moment. So it's not like a creeping warmth or an easing of pain. It's like I was on the side of the water and now I'm in the water and now it is here. And there's no getting away from that. The sensations of the water on your body can be silky or sharp or spiky or smooth or heavy, and every single sensation is totally different. And what's incredible is observing that sensation as it's coming up through your body and the experience that you have. And even just kicking off your shoes on a summer's day and walking barefoot in the park can re-trigger a new neural pathway to something else, so that we're always childlike. Kids don't care about that stuff. It seems like it's an impossible thing that can happen, to get out of bed in the morning and it to be warm, and before you know it, you're at the lakeside and you're getting into a really cold body of water that's under 5 degrees. There's something really sort of special about that, because it's a place that you're not meant to be. There was a morning that I didn't want to go swimming, and I met my friend Faye and we got down to the water, and the weather was meant to be terrible. It was meant to be raining. There was a really low mist, about a foot above the water, that was about a metre high. There wasn't a breath of wind, and the sky was pink, and the geese were flying in the space between the low mist and the water. And we just stood there. Oh my God, are we in heaven? I love the fact that there's no changing rooms. I love that, because you have to just work out how to get changed yourself, you know, and for some people, they just let everything hang out. And for other people, they do a sort of dance in a towel. And for other people, they get like a robe of some description. And it sounds on the surface that would be quite scary if you had perhaps in the past a challenge with your body or other people making a judgment on your body. And what's really ace about swimming outside is that no one cares, because everyone's celebrating the fact that you've all just got down to the lake and it's cold, or you've got down to the lake and it's rainy, or you've got down to the seashore and you're all there at 7 a.m. and you're just excited about getting in. That's really, really empowering. International Women's Day, my friends up in Scotland had put a call out to get as many women as possible to turn up, just up from the Forth Row Bridge at I think it was 7 a.m. or something like that. And I think they were only expecting a handful of people to turn up. And It was amazing. I think there was over 100, 150, 200 women there, all shapes and sizes, a really beautiful, diverse palette of everything, was there to celebrate International Women's Day. I don't think you would get that if you'd organised that at the local swimming pool. There's some amazing swimmers that are plus size, that could absolutely whip the asses off a lot of people who think that they're really fit and strong. And I think that's what's really beautiful about swimming. You turn up at any of these winter swimming events, and there's all shapes and sizes, and there's some amazing swimmers, and it doesn't matter what shape and size you are. So the presence of a film crew is a massive pain in the arse, because they totally ruin the flow of... I'm joking. I really like swimming with other people, but they have to be not too chatty. There's a Scottish author and poet called Nan Shepherd, and she died a long time ago, but she talks about walking in the hills, and she says that walking in the hills is amazing with someone else so long as they understand how you want to walk in the hills. So for me, swimming with other people is not just about swimming with anyone. It's about swimming with a crew of people that appreciate swimming the same way that I do. There's a lot of chat beforehand, a wee bit of chat going into the water, and then a lot of quiet. And then when you get out, that's when the crescendo of excitement happens. Equally, there's something really special about swimming by yourself. When I'm swimming with other people, there's obviously a lot of external distractions, but when I'm swimming by myself, the focus is definitely internal. It changes the experience from being one which is quite outward, because you're chatting to your friends and you're aware of other people and how they're doing, to something which is really internal and reflective and in the moment for yourself. You're just becoming aware of everything that you're encountering in that moment, and then observing that moment changing and something else arising. So it's a sort of rolling forward of experience and awareness as you're going through that process. And when I'm swimming by myself, that comes into very sharp focus, because you're going from the water's edge where you're warm and comfortable, and as you get into the water, those things change, and you're being aware of those very, very subtle changes that are going on and accepting each of them as they come to existence and then disappear again, much like watching the clouds in the sky. You are letting go of everything else that is in existence. And so it really is a letting go, the letting go of our bodies to submit to the water, and it's our letting go of our minds to what's happened before that moment or what might happen in the future. So you're focusing completely on what's happening right now, and as it's unfolding right now, and as that's unfolding right now. And that calms our minds down. It becomes a lot more like a meditation. That's something that you just don't get if you're swimming with another person. If we do find ice, it might be quite thick and soft, or not soft, but like it's on its way out. But that would be really exciting, because it means that we can get an ice swim in and basically just do some housework. It's like just, cutting it and cleaning it away and then swimming in it. I think that's the bit that I like the most, maybe. Yeah, we got snow. Do I get to christen my new axe or not? Let's have a look. There it is. Oh, that's good. So that bit's not... Yeah, there's definitely some ice there. Flipping brilliant. Amazing. Oops, turn that off. Turn that off. Right, let's go for it. The reason that I love swimming in ice and that I seek it out every year is because the challenge is hard enough, but it's not so hard that it's completely unrealistic. And so it's at that sweet point where it's hugely rewarding, and it means that I want to come back and do it again. It's amazing what we can adapt to and find joy in if we just show up and give it a go. I'm seeking an experience where I'm fully immersed. There's not another sport or hobby or activity that I've experienced that gives me that to such a level as swimming in ice. And that's why it's so magical.